District Board regular meeting. Roll call real quick. Chairman Chen. Here. Commissioner Anderson.
Present.
Commissioner Dolick. Here. Commissioner Gava. And Commissioner Austin. Here. We'll do approval of the minutes too. So the minutes of the Tourism District Board special meeting of June 14th. Someone make a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
All right, and a second. Roll call real quick. Chairman Chen. Here. Commissioner Anderson.
Present.
Commissioner Dolick.
Aye.
And then Commissioner Austin. All right, I'm going to take over for new business.
Sure, sounds good. And this is the first week after quarterly back disbursement. I believe the due date is at the end of the quarter for each of them, and the approval amount is listed here. For our hotel, it's $24,450, and if we come to $30,175. Holiday Express, Maggie, I believe she did not. I will get that to her as well. For Ramada, this is what I'm curious about. I believe they closed it.
I was going to give you an update during my report.
Oh, sure thing. And Motel 6, $606,625. Sherwood Inn, quarterly $225, and contingency about proper paperwork submitted. So, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe the due dates for each quarter before the quarter ends, right?
Or shortly thereafter.
Okay,
So
sure.
the quarters are not calendar quarters, it's fiscal quarters, so May, June, July.
Okay.
Those 3 months, their quarterly disbursement was due by that August. And then now we're to July, I'm sorry, August, September, October. So then another one will be due for October 31st, you be submitting in November.
Gotcha. Right, beautification project.
Actually, we've seen a motion
Oh, yeah.
to approve that.
Okay.
So someone make a motion.
Aye.
And then someone want to second it. Second. Quick roll call. Chairman Chen.
Aye.
Commissioner Anderson.
Aye.
Commissioner Dolick.
Aye.
And then Commissioner Austin. All right.
And we have beautification updates?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Obviously, continued maintenance, mowing, trimming, the flowers turned out really well this year. We just had our irrigation system checked out about 2 weeks ago to make sure we weren't wasting water and everything was going well with it. About a week or so ago, our crew, typically twice a year, we clear the shoulder of the road from the Hilton Crown Plaza area north, going up to where the Lebanon Mall starts. As we know, there's no sidewalks along there. It's always overgrown. Our crew goes there about twice a year, and we mow back like 3 feet. We weed whip and clear that path so if people want to cross there, so the guardrail, and have a safe place to walk all the way up to the wall, they have a place. We see people walking there all the time, so we've asked IDOT to do it in the past years, and it's not a priority. But we know it's the places where they actually have a pathway of some type, so we got that done, it looks really good, and then they sprayed it for weed control, so it'll last us through the winter, the fall season now, so that worked out really well. Banners got changed in the past few weeks from our summer look with our Statue of Liberty banners and the blue ones, to now we have the blue and the green, which we purchased new this year. So they're vibrant and bright, and they look really good compared to the old faded stuff. So that's really good on that nature. As summer's wrapping up, we're looking towards the holidays already. Last year we had a contract with a company to do the holiday lights along the center median. Met with them last week to verify that they're still interested in doing the work. And their price increased a little bit from last year, but it's still well in what our range was. So on the beautification part, pretty status quo and moving forward in the same direction. At our next meeting, we'll talk about next spring, about our spring plantings and what we're going to do going forward with that. So we're always a quarter ahead of what we need to do. So on the beautification part of it, for that's kind of where we stand.
Yeah, I'll take this Next up, we got building and development.
Thank you. A couple of items of interest. I'll come to the Ramada second, but the vacant Dunkin' Donuts is in for remodeling permit. We have a new franchise person going into the existing space, so permits for that are ready, will be ready for issuance next week. So they're going to do not a lot, but they're actually constructing instead of an open space, so people want to go and have a meeting or quiet, they're actually building 2 little meeting rooms back because it's a longer store than most of the Dunkin' Donuts. So don't know how that may impact Bud or how much it sells, but they want to try a different concept for a space.
So it's another Dunkin' Donuts
Yeah,
franchise.
there'll be another Dunkin' Donuts franchise. The restaurant and talking with the property owners and stuff was very viable. It's just that the franchisee was not operating at up to Dunkin' Donuts standards high. So they found a new operator and franchisee. So we will get them back up online as quickly as possible. The Ramada has been up for sale for about 5 years, 5-6 years. You guys have probably seen the information on. It did go to auction earlier this year. A private airport use operator, Sky Harbor, who has been working with the CEA to establish a foothold for their private corporate jet, their private partners, was the only bidder on the project. They were successful in acquiring it, so they're in the process now of doing the closing. Their plan is to put in 19 executive corporate hangars and the 25 to 40 on-site permitted airport-related jobs when it's done, and a couple hundred or better construction workers while they're doing it. Their plan is, and then they've been in negotiation with the city of demoing and taking land. The city did take action last month to enter into an agreement. It had, everything moving forward, but nothing's closed yet. So I can't get into too much detail in that, but it's one where the airport will ultimately, the property will be deeded from Sky Harbor back to the airport. That will remove permanently one of our hotels and food options. So that's what's at.
In terms of permanently removing one of the property on the grant disbursement, would that be distributed?
My understanding, and Sherry, and correct me if I'm wrong, because they aren't generating the taxes, they would not then be eligible. So then whoever's still here would get their percentages based on their participation, correct?
And that's what it said.
Got it. So I don't get into the money side. That's her job. We have been monitoring it. The police have been great, trying to keep an eye on it. They do have a private security firm that is up there. We don't need any unwanted visitors. So, other than that, things are moving steadily. No real new businesses at the shopping center. But we are working with the residents over on the east side for some significant upgrades to some of their buildings in the last year. So that's all I have.
Awesome, okay. Moving along to police report.
Thank you. Our tourism district officer is continuing to check in with all the hotels. Only notable piece of information is in speaking to the front desk clerk at the Hilton. She requested she would like to see more patrols at night, so we will definitely put an emphasis on that to make sure that the east side car is stopping through and driving through the parking lot at night. Checking in with the other properties, there were no issues to report. Everything is status quo. Everyone is happy with the police presence that has been going on. In regard to notable service calls, over at Crown Plaza, we assisted Vernon Hills in locating a missing juvenile. At first, it did sound like it was going to be somewhat of a hostage situation. She was located with two adult males, and it turned out that she was missing. She went voluntarily with them. She was reunited with her families, and that case is ongoing and still being investigated. Motel 6, a notable call was, it was a traffic stop in the parking lot, which led officers to recovering a pound of cannabis, and subsequently the driver, the offender, was arrested and processed. Other than that, there are no other notable calls for service, no spike in any criminal activity at any of the properties. Everything has been standard.
And I just want to say thank you guys for one of the obviously we have max groups in our hotel, and there was a small incident about a month and a half ago. One of the applicants that was supposed to be sure about the second day they broke into one of the cars, stole a charger. It was, your officers really helped us out investigating. We go to jail, we had a conversation, and one of the recruiters at our maps station. Obviously, that person's not being shipped out anymore. But
Glad to hear.
yeah, so just want to say thank you. All right, wrapping up, going into old business. Some old project updates.
Yes. So as we move forward with some of the projects we've been talking about over the past meetings, one of them was the sign project, entry signs. Last week, I believe we covered that. We have two locations in the tourism district that we wanted to put one on the south end near Kaiser Animal Hospital, one at the north end by the CDA Airport. We're moving forward full speed with the southern one by Kaiser Animal Hospital. We're currently waiting on IDOT to approve our permit application. They've had our permit now since about the first week of July, so about a month and a half, 2 months now. They don't have a clear expectation of when they respond to permits. They say it's, I know it's not being recorded, but 6 to 8 weeks. 8 to 12 weeks is kind of a common number. So we haven't escalated the response to that yet, but give me a little bit more time. A permit for a roadside entry sign, there's not a lot of meat and potatoes to it. It's pretty cut and dry. Put in something that meets their standards, a certain distance off the road, breakaway, except it won't stop a car. It looks like brick, but it's wood posts underneath. So it meets all their standards. We're expecting that to come through soon, the next few weeks. As soon as we have that permit in place, and we know there's not going to be any problems, our vendor that makes the sign he already knows that it's coming, but we haven't had to start making the sign yet until we're sure that we're moving forward. For some strange reason, there's another project that IDOT has, or some other utility that's put in something for that specific location. Which I think is going to slow us down. So we're moving forward. I'm expecting to have that in before the end of the year. I'm expecting once they get it done, our sign vendor's on track. It needs 4 or 5 weeks of a turnaround, and we'll get it in place. So I'm really excited about that one getting in place. The northern end, we have on a hold pattern, I'm going to say until sometime, maybe next year at this time. With the changes happening with Ramada and the CDA Airport, the location that we originally chose for that sign was near where the tap house in the Ramada is. It's a great spot for the city, but the airport wasn't a fan of it because it's near the end of the runway, which is still active. There are a lot of variables in there, and as Sky Harbor and the airport work on their new plans for the property, if they change the curb cut where they're going to be entering off of Milwaukee or anything like that as they're going through their design, we'd hate to plan and put a new sign up and find out it's in a bad spot. we create a line of sight issue as you're trying to pull out, now you're trying to look around this big city sign. So we're gonna put that on hold. We have the funding established, we've talked about it, but I don't want to do it twice. We've never had one, so a little bit more of a delay on it. I'm good with, as long as everyone else is on the same track with it, I think. And that,
Do you have a picture of the one that you went with one?
yes. It matches our city entry sign at Chase Bank at 83 and Euclid, and that's.
Oh, yeah, that looks nice.
Those are my cut and paste examples.
That kind of, like I said,
I just wasn't sure.
So, we're looking forward to that, for one location at least to get moving on, so. We talked in the past about the Apple Winkleman Street Lighting Project. Went back to our engineers, and the last time this was on our plate was about 3 years ago, so there's some preliminary engineering that was done at that time. It's been revised, we spent a couple thousand in engineering and draft design of it. So now our engineers are taking that through phase one, actually making blueprints on what needs to be done out there. We expect to get the phase one part of it done. It's not a quick process, but probably by this next year coming up, and then we'll move towards phase two, which is actually putting the stuff in, which I would expect to be a late 25 project or early 26. We're still within that same parameter. Total cost was around $185,000 for the Winkleman Street Lighting Project. That is Winkleman and the addition, as we have talked about, Apple Drive, which is by the Holiday Inn. If you guys recall that, sorry, I only have one copy of it, but it was to add streetlights on Apple Drive near the side entrance to Holiday Inn and just a little bit farther down. It's a very dark part of the curve. So slow but steady on that. We'll get there. Banners we talked about last time, we've succeeded, we've purchased new banners, they're up, so that takes us past that as old business. Talked to our engineers about a traffic signal at Winkleman and Milwaukee at that intersection, and we agree that that's something we can talk about in a few years from now. So it would take a lot to get that into play. Volumes of traffic on Winkleman Road with the way it's not a truck route, it's a smaller side street, so we would be, as a city or a tourism district, we'd have to pay for that entire upgrade of that intersection. $300,000-400,000. So it's money that we don't even have.
Would it be something to wait and see, but I guess because with all those warehouses going in, to see if trucks do use that or not?
It's
Do
a
you think they will?
regulated roadway, so it's not designed for truck use. If something were to come through from the county, from Northbrook and the city, we don't have to try to change this is more on the zoning part of it, but currently it's not a truck route. So there'd have to be a lot of action to change the designation of the road. And I believe that based on the width of the road and the type of road as it's been built, it would have to be all rebuilt first. So there's, to handle truck traffic. Well, it's a country road.
And it's also so close to that other line.
The big issue is under the Cook County major road improvement project that they just did on Sanders Road. Winkleman was left to be a rural field. Part of it is in Northfield Township still, part of it's in Glenview, and part of it's unincorporated Cook County. So to see a change to allow trucks, and the way that intersection is designed, it's not designed to handle trucks. So that was done intentionally. Developers of the Derby project met with the county for many months prior to all the approvals, and Cook County actually made some changes in the road design to ensure that it was designed for the site and not the send down Sanders. Or down Nicholas.
So at this point, it's kind of something we're just gonna cross off our list as old business projects, and way down the road, if things change or something else happens, we'll revisit it, but I would imagine it's gonna be years before we didn't have an inkling of a change for over there. One of the other things that we did have on our conversation piece from earlier in the year was bridge enhancements at Palatine and Milwaukee and extending beautification north. We do not have anything designed or phased for any type of enhancements on the bridge at this point. We're kind of juggling through the projects we have, and it's a future idea to make that prettier, to enhance the way it looks, but there's nothing designed or scheduled at this point. The CEA report inquired about the tourism district extending the beautification north of the bridge, where there's a large concrete asphalt island. And I suggested if they're interested in that there could be some type of cost sharing, or they could take over that and with another IGA or something like that. There wasn't a lot of positive feedback on that. That the city can't do it, kind of response. So at this point, nothing is changing with our boundaries of what we're currently doing landscape. If something official comes over from the CEA about an inquiry or some type of cost sharing, then we'll collectively talk about that. But at this point,
I just wondered if they decided that it's too a shame.
well,
But it's a shame they won't. They don't want to. You'd think leading into their area there.
there's nothing on paper as a denial. They still have the interest in seeing a change to it, but there's been no commitment or anything. Nothing that I received insinuating that they're interested in going into it.
Your flowers did look pretty.
So I think they're looking good. If there anything different
I
on
know, long-term, about 4 or 5 years ago, the airport did their most recent master plan update. They have to do it every so often for FAA. And one of the things that they're looking at is the closures, runway 624, which would open up the southwest corner of the airport on the Wheeling Road side for redevelopment. Now, if that ever does take off, pun intended, there may be some opportunity for some stuff there as they get more development in the city of Prospect Heights side of the airport. But as of right now, I've heard nothing wanting to pony up.
So that kind of covers all, I think, the topics I had from our past meetings, and kind of follow up on that.
Is there any update as far as the time frame, as far as the levee ball repair from that accident from a couple of years ago? As far as just the time frame?
So on the levee wall accident part, no. We're still in the process of, now, this isn't as much IDOT's fault as other things that I've alluded to. IDOT has our permit application to do the repair work on the wall. They received it just in the past 6-8 weeks or so. That is a much more intensive process for them to go through to give us site permits for. So I believe sometime mid-September is our timestamp to reach out to them looking for a status. That project is still planned on being finally approved by IDOT and bid and built by this summer. So we're excited about that. We're still,
So about a year from now?
yeah, that should be done. The second part of our levee wall situation has been the sluice gate that's been missing all these years, changing the flood insurance rates for the whole neighborhood. That, we have tremendous news that IDOT signed off on everything. That is back over to the IDNR. The gentleman that is running it for the IDNR is a friend of the city. He's been involved with us for 5-6 years trying to get this project moving forward. So now that it's back in the IDNR's lap, they put it out for bid. They project manage it. They want to get it done, just as much as we do. So our two projects, we're assuming they're both going to be done at the same time. But the larger, more intensive project that's taken us 7 years to get to has wings. It will go out to bid in the next month or so. So that's going to be all the nut, the shoveling in the ground plan. That would be most likely a early spring dig start. Once the contractor has been caught and on board, they have a certain window of time to acquire the materials needed. There's concrete structures and metal sluice gates and pieces and parts that need to be built and fabricated. So there's a certain portion of the contract that gives them that opportunity to get something together. So the wall, there's not as many pieces and parts needed. It's more manual labor, wrecking, removing, forming, pouring, and sealing. So
But that involves a plain closure for a
It
period
does.
of time, so.
real similar to what we saw in Mount Prospect with their system, where the one lane was taken out. IDOT's not a big fan of us doing a long road closure during winter months because of snow plowing. So that's why that would be most likely the spring hit.
Okay, thank you.
So, yeah, you sound excited about a concrete wall, but yes, in my world, that's very, it's a real good step for all of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to ask, so thank you.
Yeah, thrilled, thank you.
Any more updates for the construction?
I think I'm good at this point.
Good. Moving forward to finance?
So I just wanted to revisit, I guess it would be my, revisit the actual ordinance that established the district and just talk about the disbursements and how they come about and what happens with when we don't pay them out. The ordinance calls for the calculation of the disbursements in the coming year to be whatever hotel tax was collected last year. But, you figure out who gave how much and you have to calculate the percentage, right, of how much of the next year's disbursements each hotel will get. Then we do our budget for the current year using that number as the revenue side. And then we deduct all the expenses. Now built into the ordinance as well is a specific allocation of police services gets 42.5%, grant disbursements gets 42.5%, and beautification gets 15%. So the net number less the fixed cost leaves a number of leaves the amount of profit, and then we just allocate that based on those percentages. And the disbursements number is allocated by those percentages of how much each hotel paid in last year, and that's the number that is their disbursement. There is, the agreement, the ordinance is silent on what to do if those disbursements don't get paid out. So right now, they're not being paid out. They're just accumulating in the fund balance of the tourism district. And we've presented some capital projects that are going to be using some money this year, so that will be coming out of that fund balance number. So as of our audit, our final audit in April of 23, the fund balance was 570.71. 24 audit is not completed yet, but it's looking like it's going to bring in another 160,000 based on the forfeited grants as well as other things that happen in the budget. So we might be at 700,000 at the end of April 24. Again, that audit is underway. Our 25 budget is pretty much a break even on the profit and loss, assuming that all the disbursements are paid out. If the disbursements are not all paid out, then that will be another piece that falls into the fund balance. So besides that, I just wanted to open it up to questions. I know Tammy might have some questions. I don't know if you have any questions, but that's currently how it is working.
To my understanding, that's pretty much what we discussed before. I think we kind of mentioned when we first initiated using some of the leftover funds as well. I think all of us have more understanding of it. At the same time, I'm always on the verge of should I engage more of the other properties to take advantage of this? But I have been kind of reaching out to a few of them, but I don't see a whole lot of actual action of the applying to the grants so far, so I'm just gonna leave it as it
Yeah.
is. So the rest of the fund go into the pool that we can use in the future fund. Obviously, we'll continue to kind of build on that, these grants that are collected, and then we can talk about future projects along this line.
Yeah. There's more, we budgeted the 4 projects that Mark's working on right now this year, if you recall at our last couple
Yeah.
of meetings. So as we float into a new budget year where we create another capital improvement plan for the city, we can build into more of that once it's approved by the district here, and then we take to council and they approve the budget then.
That's great, I think that's a healthy kind of.
So you want to always have some reserve, right, in your fund balance, 100,000, whatever you decide is the number. But then the rest of those funds will be turned back into the tourism district as we approve any kind of capital projects going forward.
Last time.
Yeah, that's.
And it's sitting there.
So it's nice that we have it and we have an opportunity to develop the area and beautify it or however we decide to make the improvements work in our favor.
I think that's a good recommendation, just keep 100,000 as your baseline. And then just use it, distribute it, then to use. That'd be great.
I'm not a finance guy, but I be careful on picking a specific number as things do come up that need repair. An example of Winkelman Road a few years ago, we were fortunate enough to take the funding. Winkelman Road originally was curbless, just like this past you guys going to the east. So in your area, it was the same. There was a drop off in ditch line. There was no curb, no gutter. The surface was poor. And we used funding to rebuild, rejuvenate, and put curbs and gutters along the area to solidify the city of Prospect Heights area versus, as you know, once you get past your property, it goes to a rural type road field. So things like that, that's why it's nice to have a little fund balance.
Would it be like a percentage thought or a?
I'm just saying,
What do you think?
as you go through it, I would just suggest we don't try to come up with plans to burn up all the money except for 100 grand. We try to keep that piggy bank in there because things will happen. And if there's something else that comes up that we're not talking about now, and we decide that this is a great investment in the district and the area, it might be more than we expect. It might be $150,000. So just, always never even use your last $2 bill.
There's no rule of thumb on it.
I just,
Yeah, it's just,
There's no rule of thumb, but to Mark's credit and to his comment, keeping a reserve there is cushion. It is for emergencies, it's for significant projects that really need a big chunk of money where it's not in the operating budget to cover. So we can get.
and there will
That's a
be
big problem.
there will be projects that come up that we haven't talked about yet, we haven't even thought of yet, but
stuff will come out.
when you may see something and say, hey, this is a real opportunity for us, and collectively we talk about it and go, this is something that we can present and make it in the next budget, and the funding is there. It's always better to chase an idea than chase funding.
Well, like the lighting is almost 200,000.
So,
I think
It could be
that's
spent fast.
overall, just keep the funding there, just in case of a.
So you just keep it and we just pull it for the projects that we
and just
need?
keep building it up. But again, I'm a nuts and bolts guy.
Well,
I can help you spend the money.
That's true, but you also are the one who
But-
knows with those,
Right,
with
but I
the
just-
plans and projects.
I know that in a lot of things that we do and come across, it's easier to chase the project than chase the funding to cover it. So.
I think that's an overall
That's a
good
good
plan, and overall, looking at the funding, it's more of a need base compared to we want to set aside this money, we have to spend it.
Yeah.
It's better that we keep it as needed, because we don't know what's going to happen. And on top of that, some of the projects won't come along, maybe we get ideas coming in a couple of years or something new comes along that we can discuss. It's better to have those funds.
And if it wasn't for this whole program plan and everything that Sherry's working with the finance end of it, we wouldn't have the beautification part that we see, wouldn't have the extra staffing. There's a lot of things that we wouldn't be getting. So I'm thrilled that we have this process where we can do improvements in the area. So.
Right.
Yeah, speaking of spending good money, the camera project is moving along nicely. We have finalized the first stage locations. Director Roscoe and I are meeting with Flock Safety today to visit those sites and identify exactly what kind of mounts they'll need, the equipment. And from that point on, once we finalize exactly everything that they need, we will move forward with the installation, and hopefully in the next month or two, we should have those cameras up and running. And then ultimately, the goal is to keep adding to the network. We're currently working, not in the tourism district, but the park on the east side, Willow Trails Park. We're working with them as well. They're doing a full remodel to that park. And so we're working with them to put up cameras and lighting in the park as well, which is obviously going to benefit. Most close to it is the Holiday Inn Express.
Once we build that network, it works way better.
It does, it really does, yeah, because everything is stored in the cloud, it's not antenna-based, and those cameras, they work much better.
Any other projects you're wanting to invest in?
No, that is the only project that we have that's being worked on.
Okay, so moving along, next agenda, other public comments. Adjourn. Our next meeting is scheduled for December 6th at 9 a.m. Safe spot. There's no objection, and you probably here, so I'll be here for that as well.
Just side note, I will not be here for that meeting. I can put together information ahead of time for it. And that way you guys have it. Just, I know that specific day.
All right, and then it's 9:39. Someone make a motion to adjourn.